is now being done. We are going to mute everybody, and then I'm going to unmute Mr. Carter. David, are you there?
Yep. Can you hear me okay?
Absolutely awesome. Absolutely awesome. Okay, we're going to get this day going. I just want to go over a couple things. I hope everybody's doing absolutely awesome and getting things done. First question I'm going to ask, probably more than anything, for those who, especially who were on the call yesterday, did you put on the piece of paper on your kitchen table your accomplishment list? Things that you have accomplished so far. It is so important at this time more than any other time for you to write down every little victory that you are accomplishing. If you read a book, if you organized your closet, if you called back some customers to see how they're doing and make sure that everybody's doing positive. I'm not necessarily calling them back to get leads, but just seeing how they're doing so that 2 or 3 weeks, a month from now, when we do call back for leads, they're going to remember that you were thinking about them. But every little victory makes a big difference. So have that on your kitchen table. Things I have accomplished. Maybe underneath that, things I want to accomplish. Don't have this time end, whether it be 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, 3 weeks, whatever it can be, and you sit there saying, oh my God, if I would have known it was going to be 2 weeks, I would have gotten this done, I would have gotten that done, or I would have caught up on this. Don't let this time go by. Use it to the best of your ability, and it'll make a big difference. Second thing I want to go over, or 3 things, actually. Second thing, I'm not sure how many people caught it, but I decided to do some research yesterday after having our call with Brett Granger. And I've established that the weekend sales, the sales he gets from the weekend alone, just those 2 days, are more than any other dealer in the world gets in the entire week for the last year. I want you to think about that. Just what the Winnipeg office, what Brett Granger's office is getting on the weekends is more than any other dealer is getting from the whole week. So that tells you the power of part-time people. That tells you the power of having those weekends and using those weekends. Big profit accomplishment. Brett Granger is also doing a sales meeting today live. So if you know, all you got to do is join up on Facebook with this Premier Region, ask to be part of it. He'll like to join you in, and you could actually watch him do a live sales meeting. So for those of you yesterday who asked, how does his day go? What does he do? That's a perfect opportunity. So I want to start off with that. I'm going to mute everybody because somebody else must have come on a little bit late and they're not muted. And then I'll unmute Mr. David. Mr. Carter, are you there?
I am. Can you hear me?
Excellent, excellent, excellent. So this morning we have David Carter, Vice President of Marketing and Sales of GHS, on the line for our interview. We've got some great questions this morning. We've got some questions from Sarah Morris. We've got some questions from April Lane, Cody Richard, Sean Hesse. We got a lot of really good questions here today. So David, are you ready to get grilled a little bit?
Man, I'm nervous. Oh my God, y'all got me nervous, man. But I'm ready. Let's go.
Okay. So the first question is, when was the last time you had an affair on Christy? And remember, this is being taped.
Oh man, the last time I had an affair on Christy. Let me think about it.
Okay. First question. This is from Sarah. How were you recruited into OmniShield, or whatever the product was called? I think it was called MasterGuard at that time.
Man, that's a great question. Man, you already got me reminiscing, man. This is already starting off pretty awesome. So it was right in the beginning of 2010. I was at this thing called the Carolina Wedding Show. And I set up a booth in there because I was actually DJing weddings and big corporate events for Coca-Cola, for Thomas built buses. They built all the buses for all the schools all across America. And I was doing these big corporate events and wedding events, and I needed more clients. So it was basically like a trade show for weddings. And behind me, in the booth directly behind me, was a gentleman by the name of Terry Dalton. And Terry Dalton was right behind me, and we just started kind of just talking and chatting and become friends, because you know how it is at trade shows. You know, you're the booth beside you, behind you, you get to know each other. Well, I got to know him. He got to know me. We exchanged phone numbers. One thing led to another, and I started seeing that he was going to places, you know, to the beach and all these vacations. And finally, I just asked him. I said, "Man, what do you do? You know, what exactly do you do? You know, during the week, like during the week, and that he's not, because he used to be a videographer. That's why he was at that wedding show." Okay. Well, he said, "Well, I sell fire alarms. I sell fire alarms, and guys, I'm just being honest with you because I like being as transparent as I possibly can. But when he said I sell fire alarms, I thought to myself, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard in my entire life. Hey, Carmen, I thought it was so stupid when he told me that. So I just blew it off. I said, okay, well, that's cool, man. Enjoy selling fire alarms, because they're in the store. They're only a few bucks. So I don't know how in the world you can make a living doing that. I pictured him going to the store, buying some fire alarms and going and selling them. That's what I pictured. Well, then, you know, a little time went by, and then I noticed that he was on this really nice vacation that Global had put on. And so I asked him again, this is because Facebook was open and I seen him in these places. And I said, Terry, what are you doing out there, man? That you and your family taking a vacation? He said, no, that's the fire alarm business. I said, okay, now I'm interested. So I wanted to see what it was all about. And then the rest is history. You know, from there, I seen the demo and loved it and joined the company.
Awesome. That's and you know something. And thank God you did. There's no question about that. Question number 2. You are considered one of OmniShield's greatest leaders and motivators. Is it natural for you to be a motivator and a leader, or did you have to develop these traits? And if so, how?
That's another good question, man. I honestly and truthfully, I'll put it to you like this. In my opinion, I think it comes natural for me to help people. That's my favorite thing to do. Like you and I, you know that, because you and I have had some really deep conversations about people and the company and things like that. I just look at people and I want to help them. And even if it helps them a little bit, helps them a lot, doesn't matter to me. I just want to help people. And in return, if that motivates them, that's great. But that's, at the end of the day, that's really my only thing that I want to do. I don't sit around and study how to motivate people or anything like that. I study on how to help people.
Awesome. Really, really good. Okay, Cody Britcher would like to know, what was the most difficult thing about opening your dealership?
The most difficult thing about opening my dealership was, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that's the best thing to do. I had to invest in marketing. And I didn't realize how important that was when I first opened up a dealership, because before, you know, Terry had did all that. Terry had invested in the marketing for me. He had the callers and all of those things. And honestly and truthfully, I thought that I could get away with not doing that. So I thought, as a brand new dealer, I thought, I'll save a few dollars and I'll do it myself. And I found out real quick that was a big mistake. So Cody, I don't know if that answers your question or not, but that's just the honest to God truth.
Okay. Well, this might have a little bit to do with that also then. So what was your first goal after opening?
My first goal after opening, I wanted to hire people. You know, I wanted to hire people. And then, of course, after I got opening, I realized that.
You there? Hold on a second, David.
Hello?
David, you there?
Hello?
David? Hello?
Carmen,
David?
can you hear me?
Now I can hear you.
Oh, okay. I don't know what happened. It just, my phone said muted. It and I didn't hit anything. It just said muted. So.
Strange.
Yeah, very weird.
Okay, so the question was, what was your first goal after opening?
Just getting people, man. You know, you can't do anything without people. You need to hire people. That was immediately my goal when I first opened, is I knew I wanted to hire some people and get going. And I knew that in my opinion, it's always so important to not only learn the business, but to teach other people the business, because it makes you sharp. It makes you better. So that was my goal right out of the gate. And then I realized how fast and how big of a mistake I made about not hiring somebody to make phone calls, because I was trying to do everything. So, you know, that was my goal.
Sweet. If you could give one piece of advice to someone opening a new dealership, what would it be?
Well, in your region, the very first thing that I tell everybody is they need to go visit Brett. That would be the first thing I tell them to do. And the second piece of advice I could give them too is always listen to you. You know, and I think that I've been around a lot of people in direct sales because I get the opportunity to do that. You know, working at Global, I get to go to different regions, different offices, and things of that nature. But you know, I went with you a couple weeks back, you know, a few weeks back, and we went and visited Brett. And you know, I didn't know what to expect. You know, when I went to visit him, you never know what to expect, and you try to just go in with an open mind and just watch. But you know, the only thing I'd ever seen with Brett is his numbers, and I seen him speak at the convention, and I was like, I didn't know if I was going to walk into something really, really powerful or something that was, you know, what? Well, I walked into that office, and I seen a well-oiled machine. I seen a guy that has great sales meetings, has great people, has a powerful structure inside his office for the part-time business, has a powerful marketing room, and I would put him up against anybody in our business, and he's in your region. So if I was in that region, I'd want to visit Brett, and I would want to listen to you. That's what I would do. I guess I guess big question, who has visited Brett? I don't even know. That'd be the first thing I'd want to know is like, who has actually went out and visited Brett? That would be the first thing I'd want to know. Like, who's done that? Because that's important. You got to get out and watch people. Most people are visual learners in our business. And some of the best things I've ever learned came from sitting down and watching somebody else visually. Because you can listen and do conference calls all you want. You know, you can come to workshops all you want. You can do all that stuff. And all these things are important because you'll learn little nuggets and things that'll get you through your business. But when you get to visit someone that's really smoking it, there's a lot of things that come with that you don't get from workshops and conference calls. You get inspired by the energy in the room. You know, you get to see the little things that makes it work. Because a lot of times at workshops, we're training on the big things. But when you see the little things that tie it all together, you're like, oh, that's it. Like I give an example. I went out and visited Jason Wolbers, and you know Jason Wolbers, and I think everybody on the call knows Jason. Well, at the beginning of this call, you mentioned that Brett is putting out more units on the weekend than most people put out in a whole week. Well, that was my goal. I wanted to do that. I was like, man, this is back in 2011 and 2012, I was getting this thing really, really moving. And I was like, but I wasn't getting people to sell their first weekend out as good as Jason was. So I called Jason up and I said, hey, man, I want to come watch you do a training class. I want to watch you do a training class from the beginning to the end. And I want to see what I'm missing because I think I'm missing something that you're doing that I'm not doing, and I want to watch you. And he said, all right, cool. And I went out and watched him, and I found out what I was missing. And I went back, and things took off. I started really kicking butt and putting people out, and they started smoking it. But the other part was he came and visited me later, Carmen, because he was like, I want to see what I'm missing. And he came and visited my office, and he found things that he was missing. And these are some things you won't learn in a workshop. These are things you got to watch and learn. And you got the guy right now who's the best in the company, in the world of global health and safety in your own region. So I don't know if I just got off on a tangent or not, but that's my opinion on getting better and things of that nature.
No, that's awesome. That's absolutely awesome. What is your favorite book on encouragement?
I got a book a long time ago from Joe Aller. He gave me this book, and I read it on a plane. And it's not a long read. It's actually, I don't like big long reading, but sometimes books are hard to read. You know, this book is an easy read, and it's called Rhinoceros Success. Rhinoceros Success. That is my favorite book that I have ever read. I love that book. You will get so much out of that book. I'm telling you, whether you're a marketer, safety advisor, dealer, leader, manager, director, doesn't matter. You read that book will help you in more ways than one. And I still read that book. I still pick that book up from time to time and just read it because it's such a phenomenal read. Definitely get that book, man. That's awesome.
Excellent. Thank you for that. That's great. What is your favorite movie and why?
Oh, man, these are some really, man, y'all got me thinking, man. This is some good stuff. When I was a kid, I used to love that movie Young Guns. That was my favorite movie. I'm not real sure why I love that movie. You got me thinking about why, but I don't really know why. I just like the Wild Wild West kind of stuff, and the Billy the Kid, you know, and him going out there and taking on everybody. It was like, you know, him against the world kind of thing. Nobody could take him down. That really attracted me. I was like, man, that's a great movie. And then the second one came out, and I thought the second one was just as good as the first one. But I love movies. Christy and I just watched a movie with Brooklyn the other night, and I realized my wife, you can't get my wife to cry, man. I was like, this woman will not cry during a movie. It's like nothing can hit her. I was like, you got a stone cold heart, girl. And Brooklyn's over there crying like a baby, and I got tears coming out of my eyes. But Christy, she don't cry during movies, man. I've never seen anything like it. It could be the most heart-wrenching moment in the movie, and you just look over at her, and she's just stone cold. I just look at her, and I grab her wrist, and I was like, do you have a pulse? Are you okay? Because it's like, I don't understand. I don't understand.
That's awesome. That is really, really good. Okay, from Mike Mock, what would you suggest is the optimum structure for an office to produce the maximum results if you could design perfection?
To get maximum results, you got to have managers. You know, that if you're going to build something really, I just had this conversation with someone this morning, with Dale Rushy this morning. I mean, he and I talked for an hour this morning. He was asking me this exact question. And it's true. I mean, listen, man, if you don't have managers, you're never going to reach the pinnacle of direct sales, period. End of story, bottom line. So your structure should be surrounded with managers. And so, for instance, everything should start with your field trainers. And I think, Carmen, I think you call them crew leaders.
Mm-hmm.
But you got to have trainers in the field. You learn how to do it, sell in the office. You learn how to do a demo in the office, but you really, truly learn how to sell in the field. And you start developing habits in the field. And if you don't have trainers in the field, well, you already making a mistake. Already. That's already the biggest mistake a lot of people make right out of the gate. And then the next thing is you should have a trainer in the office, someone that trains these people. And that trainer in the office should be the manager, the direct manager for the trainers in the field. All right. That's step number 2. And then step number 3 is you should have a marketing director, a leader in the marketing room. You should have that. That's a manager's position. Someone that manages all the other people and manages the schedule for them coming in and leaving, and manages the goals and manages the contests and manages all that stuff in that marketing room. And then the other structure is your sales manager. Your sales manager should be handling your call-ins, handling your call-outs, and everybody should report to the sales manager. The manager is you. That is the extension of you as the dealer. That person runs your office. They open the office, they close their office. They're the ones that everybody reports to. They're the ones that make sure that the sales meetings are ran strong. They're the ones that make sure the training classes are ran strong, and the training manager reports to them. They're the ones that walks into the marketing room and gets those appointments and holds that room accountable with the marketing director. So if you don't have managers, you're in trouble, and that leads to the other part. Managers, you shouldn't even have a manager if they have no desire to be a dealer. Like, that is so key for all of you to understand that. That was a big deal for me when I was running my business, is if I'm going to have Charles Hayes be my sales manager, and he was my sales manager, I'm not going to allow him to be in like a position like that if he don't have any aspirations of being a dealer. So I don't know if that answered your question, but that, to me, managers are everything to you. You got to have them. You got to have them.
Well, that's exactly the second part of his question was all about that as managers. So we obviously realized you're going that direction. Do you have your managers with a specific task, or do you have them float around doing different tasks?
That's a tough question because offices are so fluid. You know, sometimes people end up not coming in because they're sick, or their kid gets sick, or something like that. So when I ran my office, my number one thing was to be compassionate for my people, for the team, and everybody, all the managers, where you start as a manager, you start as a field trainer. You start as a field trainer anyway, and that's the first, in my opinion, that's the first position you start at. You got to learn how to do that first, because if you don't know the demo and you don't know how to train people in the field, how in the world can you be an office trainer or a sales manager? It don't make any sense. So yeah, the way the structure is designed is, if one of my field trainers falls out, well, if need be, someone can step right in and handle that job. Or if the sales manager happens to get the stomach virus, and he's sitting at home, he's sick and thrown up and feeling terrible. Well, that gives everybody an opportunity to step up into those positions. And that's what that structure is for. So I would say, okay, trainer, I'm going to make you the sales manager until Carmen gets back in his position. This is your opportunity to show me what you can do. All right. Because Carmen's going to go out and be a dealer soon anyway. So let me see what you can do. I want to know if you're going to be my next sales manager or not. And then everybody moves up into a different position and fills in the voids. That's huge. That's a great question right there.
Excellent. Really, really happy with it. And you're absolutely right. The sales manager's position is probably the most important position in a successful office. And that person has to want, more than anything else, to become a dealer.
And Carmen, one other thing I want to point about that too is your job as a dealer, when you have a manager, excuse my French, but get the hell out of their way. That was hard for me. That was really, really difficult for me when I hired a manager, was to allow them to fall down a little bit, because you can't say, listen, let me give you an example. If the sales manager is handling things and things start going down a little bit, if I jump in there and I say, okay, get the hell out of my way, I'm going to do this, and you just get out of my way what just happened to him? He just lost every bit of his confidence. You might never be able to pull him out of that. So you got to allow people to fail. The best lessons in life are when you fall. And every time that I ever fail in this business, I learn the most from that. You learn from successes, but you learn way more from when you fall. All right. So, but if you jump in there and you save them every time, and I mean save them, I mean taking their job from them and doing the job for them, you ain't saving nothing. You're destroying people. So it's better just let them. Sorry, I jumped in and got another subject there, but that's so important to let these people do their job, man.
Yeah, that's awesome. Absolutely awesome. A really good question here. What advice would you give to aspiring dealers, people who want to become dealers who have unsupporting family members?
Well, that's everybody. I don't know of anybody that doesn't have an unsupported family member. Mine was, in the very beginning, it was my own mom. My own mom didn't support me in the beginning, and then later on, she started supporting me when she seen that it was a legitimate good business. She thought it was some mess or whatever. She didn't believe in the business in the beginning, but she came around. But for those people, my advice to them is have an attitude of I'll show you. 3 words. I'll show you. Every one of you should write those 3 words down, because those 3 words is what you need to be successful in direct sales anyway. You got to have a real chip on your shoulder. Don't try to look at things always from, everything's going to always be great, because that's not true in direct sales. You're going to have tough times. You're going to have moments when you're down, and those people that don't believe in you, they'll be the ones that push you through that. So my advice to you is thank those people. Excellent. Look at them and say, I appreciate you. Thank you for not believing in me, because you are the reason why I'm going to be great at this business. So I really appreciate you not believing me. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. I'll show you. Great attitude, great line. Absolutely. Okay, Sean Hesse, what's the most safety advisors you had with kits at one time?
That's kind of a loaded question. I'm going to say 75 because we had a lot of kits in the field, but you guys all know how that works. Kits in the field don't mean active people. Sometimes kits are not active, but I had 75 kits in the field. But the active people were a lot less than that. But I'm going to tell you something about that too. This is very important about kits. it's all numbers in direct sales. This business is so predictable, it's not even funny. You know, whoever has the most kits in the field with a powerful structure, they're going to win. They're going to be the ones on top. They're going to be the ones taking the trophies. They're going to be ones making the most money. What you'll love about the part-time business, which Brett's starting to really, really understand and get going, is that part-timers they'll disappear for a month. They'll come back. It's a beautiful thing with part-timers. You could have 25 kits in the field of part-timers, and 20 of them might be gone for a week or two, but then the next month they'll all come back, or some of them will come back and run demos. And they'll run demos that you would have never got into. They'll run demos with their grandmother, who never will do a Survey Monkey, who will never do any of these marketing programs. They're never going to walk through a trade show. So these part-time people drive your business. I love part-time people, man. Love part-time people. In fact, I would tell you this too. And again, I'm rambling and getting off on a tangent again, but part-time people are the future of this business, because part-time people have full-time jobs in most cases, unless they're a stay-at-home mom, which, hey, that's a full-time job, right? So part-time people have jobs. Part-time people are busy. Part-time people are looking for some extra income. Our job as dealers is to take that part-time person and make them fall in love with this business and give them a mission to become a manager and give them a mission to become a dealer. That's our job. Our job is to get people to believe in themselves. So again, I'm sorry, man. When you give me a question, it gets me going in a million different directions sometimes.
What is your monthly unit record?
Well, it's different back when I ran it, because it was alarms.
Yep.
You know, it was hard units. There were some fire extinguishers in there too, but you know, when I was running mine, at my peak, it was we were called Crossfire alarms. It was smoke heats and COs and things of that number. We did 1,000 units. I don't know what that would equate to today. I guess it will probably equate to probably around 2,000, something like that. Because, you know, you got the water sensors, the comm link, the bed shaker. I would have been giving away more stuff in the deal. So 1,000 units, but it would have been probably around 2,000, 2,100, something like that.
Awesome. Now, in the last 2 years, GHS has grown at an unbelievable pace, and probably due to a lot of the superstars that are in this call today. And to continue to grow at the pace that we've grown, because I think we plateaued a little bit, we're going to need a huge influx of leadership in the terms of sales directors. What are the traits that GHS is looking for in new promotion area directors?
Okay, this is the easiest question that I've had. This is easy. So if y'all want to, if there's anybody on the call that has aspirations to be a leader in a position of like area director, write this stuff down, because this is the keys. If you want that, the first thing you need to understand is start today. Start today. That's the very first thing I'm gonna tell you, because there's always interviews taking place. You know, you're in an interview right now, and you don't even know it. Whether you're a brand new dealer or you've been a dealer for 10 years, you're always being interviewed. You're always being watched. We're always watching to see. We're watching to see all kinds of stuff. Like, I'll start with this. We are going to watch and see who's at the workshops. We're going to watch and see who's at the conventions. We're going to watch and see who's on these Zoom calls, because you get to plug into one of the brightest minds in direct sales in Carmen. He's pouring into you Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. And I know you don't like people talking about you like that. I can see you smiling, but it's true. It's the facts, man. I've been around a lot of minds in direct sales, and you're one of the brightest I've ever seen. I sit around and listen to you and learn from you. Every single time I get around you, I learn. So for the people that don't get on these Zoom calls, you have no business ever being an area director. Ever. Like, never in your life should you be an area director if you have an opportunity to learn from Carmen and you don't get on these Zoom calls. And then the superstars calls. You should be on the superstars calls. But, you know, don't wait for a promotion. Don't ever do that. A lot of people, I think the biggest mistake that a lot of people make when they're like, well, I want to be an area director. Okay, well, what are you doing? What are you doing right now that says that you can be one? Because the number one trait that you better show if you want to be an area director is you better be creating new dealers. That's the number one trait. Right out of the gate, I'll tell you that. Which means if you're not creating new dealers, and that means you're not creating what? Managers, which is what we talked about a little while ago. The importance of having field trainers, the importance of having an office trainer, the importance of having a marketing director and a sales manager. If you don't have a marketing staff, how can you be an area director? You know, if you don't have a sales manager, how in the world can you do that? I'll go backwards even further. If you're not hiring part-time people, how can you be an area director? How can you do that? If you're not recruiting out of the home, how can you be an area director? So, you know, recruiting in the home, mastering the in-home recruiting process, creating new managers, creating new dealers, that is going to be huge. But just stay in the middle, man. There's a thing that I always tell people that I think is important that I learned personally, and that's staying in the middle. And staying in the middle means this. You should have a mentor and a coach. That's the person above you. And you should also have people listening to you, you're coaching, which means you should stay in the middle. And a lot of people screw one of these sides up. A lot of people try to stay on top and never have a coach. Or a lot of people, you know, say, you know what, I'm good. I'll just hire 1 or 2 people and, you know, and then we'll just have a couple people and that's it. Well, here's the deal. You guys have it made because you get to have Carmen above you that you get to listen to and learn from and be coached by. So that's the above part. You got to take it very serious and start hiring part-time people and hiring managers and creating new dealers in your office. That's the bottom part. Stay in the middle. Stay in the middle. That is so, so important. One place that has that down pat is the Marine Corps. I was in the Marines, and I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell you something about the Marine Corps. They have staying in the middle down pat. Down pat, you know, and they understand the importance of managers. It's their own way of doing it, but they understand the importance of managers. They understand the importance of having somebody above them and below them. And if you walk around and you meet people in the military, they never arrive. When you run across somebody that thinks they've arrived and they think they know it all, they're lost. They're screwed. They're never going to be successful in direct sales. Don't ever think that you know it all, because listen, that's the death of a direct salesperson. That's the end of your career. It might not physically be over yet, but it's over when you stop learning. You know, Carmen, me and you sat down, we was out there on that trip in Canada, me and you sat down and we were learning from each other. I was listening to you and you was listening to me, and we were both getting excited because we were sharing ideas and little things started popping up. And man, it was fun. That was one of my favorite trips that I ever had because we were sharing ideas and getting better. But that's what we want you to do to become an area director. To become an area director, you should always be learning, always getting better. And that's why I love these calls. I love these calls that you guys do. Anytime that you see a successful organization, you can always know there's a leader right there. Somebody leading, somebody inspiring, somebody coaching, somebody mentoring. There's a leader whenever there's a successful organization. So that's what Global's looking for. I know what you're looking for too, Carmen, because you and I have had great conversations about it. I know what you look for in someone that wants to be a leader. And it's very important that my last piece of advice on that one thing, guys, is this, is I just asked Carmen. If I was in the International Lifesavers and I'm sitting here on this call today and I'm saying to myself, I have aspirations to be a great leader. Well, the best person to ask a question to would be Carmen. I would call Carmen and I would say these words to him. Carmen, what do I need to do? What are the things that you think I need to do? What are the things that you think that I'm lacking? What are the things that you see in me that you like? What are the weaknesses that you see in me? What are the strengths that you see in me? You know, put pressure on Carmen to tell you the truth about what he sees in you. And listen, let me tell you something. When he tells you what he thinks, you need to humble yourself and listen and don't get upset about it, because it's hard doing what he does. It's not easy looking at people and telling them what they need and what they need to improve on. That's a hard thing to do sometimes, Carmen. You know, that is not easy sometimes, looking at people and telling them the cold, hard facts. Well, you're lacking this or you're lacking that. It's easy looking at people and telling them what they're great at. That's fun. That's easy. But looking at people and saying, man, you really need to work on this. You know, that's a hard thing to do as a leader, but it's necessary. It's necessary. So I would just suggest all of you plug into Carmen and ask what you need to do. Carmen, what do I need to do? What do I need to do to become an area director? He'll tell you. He'll tell
Are you
you.
offering to take over one of those positions, David?
Negative.
Okay. Well, thank you for that. It'll sound like a commercial for me, but I again, thank you very much for that. You had to move from North Carolina to Texas to pursue your goals and to further your career. How easy or difficult was that decision?
That was one of the hardest decisions I've ever done in my life. I mean, I remember looking at my team. Woo! It's hard. Hard. But helping people is the goal. You know, the helping people is the goal. But, you know, sorry I got a little emotional, but that's hard, man. You know, moving halfway across the country, you know. But when you get to see people thrive in this business and you get to see people be successful, it makes it worth it. Because people are living their dreams. You know, people are living their dreams and they're becoming successful and getting better and better and better. And the company's getting healthier and prospering. But yeah, that was a tough deal for me, man. That was a tough deal for me, my kids, my wife, all of us. Yeah, it was really tough.
Thank you for that. Thank you for the honesty in that. Okay, great question from April. Would you be excited if one of your children became a dealer?
I would be so excited I couldn't even tell you, man. That would be so much fun for me. That would be fun. It'd be a challenge too, because you know your kids don't listen to you. But it'd be a real challenge. But you know, I would love it. I would love it. I don't think there's a better business in the world than this business. I think that this business is the best opportunity out there. And yeah, if Bryson, Brooklyn, or Nathan wanted to do this business, I would be there with them, lockstep, teaching them, coaching them, mentoring them, giving them everything I got. And I'd also plug them into people like you, Carmen. I would tell them, I'd say, hey, you know, I need you to plug into Carmen and learn from him. You know how it is, man. You know, some people just don't want to listen to you. And I think your kids are going to be right there at the top of that list. They're like, no. I'll go somewhere else. But no, to answer your question, April, that's a great question. And I would love nothing more than, in fact, my oldest son's already told me, he, you know, I don't know how serious he is, but I've asked him, I said, you think you will ever want to do something like this? He said, oh yeah, I'm going to sell fire alarms. I said, all right, man, that's awesome. So I don't know if that'll happen or not, but he turned 16 this weekend. So we'll see.
Okay, well, part two of that question is, of the three, Bryson, Brooklyn, and Nathan, who is most likely to become a dealer?
Oh my God. I don't know. They're all three so different. Like
Absolutely.
Bryson, you know how it is with your kids. They're all different. I mean, none of them are the same. They all have their own strengths. They all have their own personalities. Like, I'll start with Bryson. Bryson he has some of my traits, but he's just like Christy. He is my wife, upside down, sideways, all around. It's her, like reincarnated. He has all her strengths, and they're beautiful strengths. You know, I love watching him because he's so, man, he would be a good one for sure. I think he'd be successful at it. Nathan is me, upside down, all around. He's you know, and that he is something else, man. He's so funny to me because I watch the things that he does, and my wife she'll tell me all the time, well, he's you. You know, like he'll get in trouble at school, or he'll do something, and I'm like, oh my God. But I think he'd be successful at this business. You know, he's just like me. And then Brooklyn is literally a split. She's just like Christy and just like me. She took us both. And I don't know how that works with, you know, inheriting traits from your parents and things like that. But it's really interesting to me. She was the third one born, so she probably watched her brothers and seen what they did and what she liked and what she didn't like. She probably watched them get in trouble and get spanked and things like that. She's like, I ain't doing that, you know. So she's probably got to learn more because she got to watch her brothers, and she's and we've gotten better as parents, you know, through the first two, you know, through Bryson and Nathan. So I'm not going to say which one I think will do better because I don't think you ever know that. You know, it's just like, you know, it's just that's a screwed up.
Who do you think's most likely?
What'd you say?
Who's most likely? Not who would do better. Who's most likely?
Well, that's the thing about direct sales. Let's take my kids out of this for a second. Let's say you have a training class this weekend and there's 3 people in there.
Yeah.
Who's the one that's going to be most likely to be successful?
You think the person who's the sharpest, who's answering the questions, with the biggest personality, most energy?
Yeah.
Get surprised.
Well, I can tell you right now, I've been wrong just about every damn time. You know, every training, and I've done a bunch of training classes, as you guys know. I've been wrong. Like, and that's the thing to learn about recruiting. And I'm not trying to throw this off, April. I know the question's a legit question, but I think this is the right answer for it. I don't think you would get to choose that. I don't think you get to choose who's successful in direct sales. I don't think, just like, you know, Katie Wilson, she couldn't read or write. I didn't get to choose. If I got to choose, she wouldn't have made it, but she made it. And I didn't get to choose that Bethany Ruffner was successful. And she was top 3 recruiter in the world for working out of our dealership. And she was a stay-at-home mom, and she was a waitress at Olive Garden. But I've had sales champions come work through my business and from other companies, and they sucked. They sucked. And I'm going to tell you why I think they sucked. I will tell you this, because I think they inherited that trait of a know-it-all. And I think when you get a trait of a know-it-all, you're screwed. You're screwed. You know, I really do. They wouldn't listen and learn how to sell this in this business. But they were from another business, like, well, I already know how to sell. I'm just going to go and use what I already know how to do and go do it. And I said, well, go get it, Kat. Let's see what you got. And then that quiet little girl that sat in the training class and didn't say a word, she beat the crap out of them. And then they wouldn't even show back up to the next open house to face it. So I don't know if you can answer that question.
Okay, fair enough. I just got a couple more questions here. We'll be finished. How important is it for dealers to take as much of their team as possible to international convention in growing the business, in helping grow the business?
1 out of 100, I'd say it's 1,000. Yeah, let me tell you why. Remember I told you in the beginning of this call about visiting Brett? There was a part of that when you visit Brett, you can't duplicate the things that you see. You know, like, you know, you can come back, you can go to Brett's office and feel that energy, and you see the things that are happening, the little things that are happening that makes that thing go. Well, you'll get to take that back with you. But if you don't bring your sales manager with you to go see Brett's office, then all you're doing is you're going back to the office and saying, let me tell you what I saw. It was awesome. They did this, they did this, they did this, they did this. It was great. Well, now the sales manager is like, okay, well, how do I mean, people are visual. So to answer your question, 1 out of 100 is 1,000. Because when they come to this meeting, they're going to see the big stage. They're going to see the massive screens. They're going to see the big lights. But they're going to see hundreds of people just like them who have become successful in this business. And they're going to get to sit with them and say, oh, wow, hey, how you doing today, man? I seen your picture in the Challenger. I remember my first convention, I saw people that I'd already seen in the Challenger. I'm like, hey, I've seen you before, dude. You was in the Challenger. And I've seen you before. You know, tell me about your career. You get to talk to them, you know, and get to share ideas with them. And some of the best ideas I ever got, Carmen, came from sitting outside the meetings at the bar, drinking an ice cold beer, sitting there chatting with somebody that was successful in direct sales. And they shared with me the little things, because I got to ask them specific questions. But when they're on stage speaking and they're doing their thing in these workshops, it's not the same. It's different because they're sharing with you with what they think's important, but it might not be what you need. You might need something else, and you get to get those things in the bar area, in the lounge area, and at dinner. You get to go to dinner with whoever you want to go to dinner with. Guys, I'm just telling you, man, that world meeting is everything to you. You want to be there. Trust me. Don't miss that no matter what. be a huge mistake.
You there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Okay, good. That's awesome. Okay, another good question. What's your real name and why don't you use it?
That's funny too, man. My full name is Jack David Carter III. So yeah, I'm the third. There's three of me. All right. So my grandfather, my dad's dad, he's Jack David Carter, and then my dad was Jack David Carter Jr. and I'm the third. So they called my granddaddy. They called him Jack. They always called him Jack. They called my dad JD. So he was always called JD for Jack David in short. JD, and Jack. So they called me David. Everybody always called me David. But my uncles, we have a big military family, and my uncles, there was a lot of Davids in my family. There was my cousin David and my uncle David, all these Davids. So instead of calling me Jack or JD or David, they called me Three. So, hey, Three, how you doing? And I'm like, hey, Uncle David, how you doing today? So they always called me Three. So there's a lot. I've been called a lot of things, and I've been called a lot worse too, by the way. Been a lot of things I've been called.
Well, that's the next question. Has Christy ever sang the song "Hit the Road, Jack"?
She hasn't sang it, but I'm sure she's thought it.
What's your favorite restaurant for just you and Christy to go to?
We have a couple of them that we really love. I'll tell you this: for our anniversary every year, we always go to Ruth's Chris Steakhouse for our anniversary. That's a special place for me and her to go share and talk. We love going there for our anniversary. Ruth's Chris Steakhouse. She always gets that stuffed chicken, and I always get the New York strip, and we love that place. But it's beautiful for us. We go there at least once a year typically. We didn't go last year, but we the other place that we love to go is Texas Steakhouse. We love Texas Steakhouse, man. We eat at that place often. That's our favorite to go to.
And for your whole family, what's your favorite family restaurant you go to? The whole family goes when they vote.
They all love Texas Steakhouse, so we typically go to Texas Steakhouse or Pizza Hut. That's another one that they like to go to. Like Brooklyn loves Pizza Hut, so she wants to get the cheese bread. She wants to get that cheese bread, and she could eat that cheese bread for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. And then when we go to Texas Roadhouse, they like eating the cheese fries. And it's funny because when they get the cheese fries, they don't eat the fries, they just eat the bacon. And I'm like, man, we can just cook some bacon at the house, man, if y'all just want bacon. It's like literally now the lady will bring out a ramekin full of bacon. Fantastic. And they'll just sit there and eat the bacon. I'm like, man, that's so funny to me.
Love bacon.
Bacon.
Okay, so let's do the final thing. Without mentioning my name, what words of encouragement would you like to give the international lifesavers in crazy times like these? As a final send-off.
What words of encouragement is stay in touch with your people, stay positive, and don't listen to all the negative crap on the news. There's a lot of stuff going on right now, and we do need to be mindful of what's going on right now. But this is our opportunity as people to step up as leaders, every single one of us. So what I would give you advice to do is I would pick up that book that I told you about, Rhinoceros of Success. Get that book, read that book. Start having a book club. Start reading and talking and getting better. Video your presentation. One thing I've told people already to do, dealers, I've been talking to a lot of dealers, obviously, with this stuff going on. And a lot of people are locked up right now for this quarantine. That's okay, because guess what? This gives you a chance to get better. And this gives you a chance to learn it, do it, teach it. So you can literally do a Zoom call. And I'm going to tell you a cool thing. You guys can do a Zoom call and somebody can hold a sales meeting. Say, let me show you what our sales meeting looks like. Let's have a sales meeting. And then everybody can be on the call and they can do it like all of you guys are safety advisors and have a sales meeting. You could have a Zoom call where somebody does an in-home presentation. Whoever is in your region that you think would probably be the best one for a demo, let them do the demo live on a Zoom call. Another thing that you guys can do as leaders is ask your people to record their demo. One of the best things that I ever did as a dealer was go buy a camcorder and I recorded our people's demo. I would take it, and my field trainers would take it to a house. They would set up a tripod, and they would just ask the customer, hey, do you mind if we just pointed the camera right at him or her and recorded this person? This is for training purposes to help him or her get better. They say yes every time, guys. Every single time. And the only time that you pick it up and carry it's on the walkthrough. Then you put it right back down at the table on the tripod at the close. You'll get so much better recording your demo. I can't tell you the leaps and bounds that you will improve by recording your demo. And also, it's time to get creative for all of us. You know, like that little video we put out yesterday. That was something I was just sitting around. I was like, man, this is something cool. And I was talking to Gary about it, Gary Robinson. I was like, you know, we gotta get recruits. So right now, it'd be very smart for you guys to learn how to get recruits while you're sitting at home. Because if you get recruits while you're sitting at home, when you come out of this, those people are going to physically walk you into their friends and family's homes. The holdup rate will be high. All right. So that's a good strategy. But while I'm sitting at home right now, I'm not just going to sit at home and do nothing. I would get up in the morning and take a shower like I always do. I would get ready like I always do. I would stay in my routines. Don't get off your routines and don't get discombobulated. Get up, take a shower, brush your teeth, put some deodorant on. Hopefully you put some clothes on, you know, get dressed and go to work. Your work is your house right now, but go to work and sit down and do what you always do. For all the dealers on the call right now, call your people, talk to them, encourage them, lift them up. I could go on and on and on about this question while you're sitting at home. Whatever you do, don't do nothing. Don't do nothing. Think about your people right now, the people that work under you. All right. What are you telling them right now? What are you telling them? Are you encouraging them? Are you lifting them up? Are you inspiring them? Are you coaching them? Are you mentoring them? What are you doing? Are you bringing a second voice in for those people? Have you asked Carmen to speak to your team? I would. I'd be saying, Carmen, can you do me a favor and talk to my team on Friday after your call? And Carmen's like, thank you for adding more to my plate, right? But that's important because they need to hear a different voice and they need encouragement right now because a lot of people, let's face it, a lot of people are scared and a lot of people are nervous about what's going on, but we will get through this. And that's something that you need to preach to your people. What do you think is going to happen? The whole world's going to shut down and nobody's ever going to do anything again? No. The world is coming together right now. The United States, Canada, all these countries, they're all coming together to get better through this. Think about the improvements that's going to happen because of this. I can't imagine the improvements going to come in this, but I think in direct sales, we have an opportunity right now like we've never had before. And I'll end it with this. Think about all the people that are out there that hated their job before this. Now think about all the people that are out there that just got screwed over by the person that they work for. Because people will jump ship. They're going to, these companies are going to leave their people hanging and they're going to say, just go file for unemployment. And then you're going to swoop in and say, hey, I'm here to help you. I want you to come work with us. I want you to be a part of our team. And that's what people need to hear right now. So go build a team. Go get that team to write down their golden list. You guys get better. Video your presentation. Talk to each other. Encourage each other. There's enough of the negative stuff going around. Let's be encouraging to each other. Let's inspire each other, mentor each other, coach each other, and get better and better and better. And that's what I would do. I would be reaching out to people that I could get better from right now. Call Brett. Ask Brett about some of the little things that he's done in his office that's made him successful. You know, ask him. Say, hey, what do you do? Tell me about this. Tell me about that. Tell me about your marketing office. How many of y'all called Brett and leaned on him? I would. I'm telling you guys, he's bright. He's got a bright mind on him, and he knows what he needs to work on too, don't he, Carmen? Like we told Brett, there's things that Brett needs to work on, but there's some things about Brett that are powerful. There's things about April Lane that are powerful, but April's got things she can work on. You know, Tom, you got things you can work on, Tom Spear. Oh boy, Tom, you got a lot of things you can work on. I play it. Tom the Sioux, same thing, and the list goes on and on and on. All of you have strengths, and all of us have things that we can improve on. I've got weaknesses. Carmen, I told you what mine were. We sat down, and I said, this is what I'm good at, and this is what I need to work on. And that's what we need to embrace, is the things that we need to work on, and we need to share the things that we're good at with others. That's what I will be doing during this time that you guys are sitting at home, is I'll be doing those things.
Well, that's awesome, David. And I want to thank you very much for taking your time today. A lot of really, really good ideas and advice that you gave there. The one thing that a lot of people really should take away from this, and it's the same thing that Justin Wolbers talked about yesterday. If you get a chance, and there's no reason why you don't have that opportunity right now, tape your demo. You take a look at the way you're talking, when you take a look at the way you're using the book or when you're using the iPad presentation, you will be shocked. Justin Wolbers was talking about it yesterday and saying after taping the demo, the guy looked at it and said, my God, I'd never buy from me. You just been learning the things you're going to do. It's a great opportunity using it with your cell phone. But David, thank you very much for your time this morning. Much appreciated. We're going to finish it off with the contest. I'm going to be giving away 3 books today. The books are all going to be the same book. It's Think and Grow Rich, which is Chris Roberts' favorite book. I'm going to get it personalized to the winners and autographed by Chris Roberts. Now, there's 2 parts to the contest. The first 2 books are going to be coming up to the first 2 people who answer these 2 things. Going to get a little harder now. In what video does David Carter say, and this is the line, the most successful people in our company make it all about customers, not about the sale? What video? What's the name of that video? The second answer you have to come up with is in the February Challenger magazine. How many pictures are from the International Lifesavers? How many pictures in that magazine are of an international lifesaver? Whether it be as a dealer, whether it be as a safety advisor, whether it be as a director, how many are from our team? The first 2 people to come up with the right answer to those 2 questions are going to win the book personalized and autographed by Chris Roberts. And then the third book is going to be coming up to the first person who answers this question. Yesterday, when Brett Granger was on here, what advice, and Brett, don't you tell anybody and nobody call Brett, what advice did Brett give to new dealers to concentrate on their first month? That's it, boys and girls. Thank you so much for your time today. David Carter, that was absolutely awesome. Very appreciated. I know it was honest. I know it's from the heart. Let's have a fantastic day. Let's become positive influencers and let's change people's life. Have a great day, guys and girls.